Hey guys, it's Comics G-Man here again today. I'm going to talk about Superman by Joshua Williams. We're going to go back to that. Now, remember, I skipped issues number 18, 17, and 16. Or let me say 16, 17, and 18. That's because those were tie-ins to the Absolute Power event, which I thought was absolutely horrible, okay? And that whole event in itself just put me in a really, let me shut this off. It put me in a really bad mood at that time when I was making all my recordings. But today I'm not in such a bad mood, so I won't be as grumpy as I was in my last video. But in this, the Superman comic series for me, like now at this point, it takes a big nosedive. You're going to see that in these reviews that I wrote down about it. Alright, so let me start at number 19. I didn't even say much about number 19. I gave it a 1. I said, this doesn't even deserve a full effort by me, so I will refer to the other rating on here, written by RKS. He said exactly my thoughts. So yeah, if you look at RKS over here, he's another reviewer on Comic Book Roundup, and I'm following him because I think he explains himself really good with the Superman comics. Like, I could tell this guy's been reading Superman probably longer than I've been around. So look what he says, RKS. Look what he says about Superman number 19. I think this reflects exactly how I felt. He wrote, in Superman number 19, we are presented with yet another chapter in the gradual unraveling of Superman's core identity, this time through a narrative structure that seems more interested in diminishing the Man of Steel than celebrating his unique heroism. While the synopsis promises an exciting new story arc, what we receive instead is a thinly veiled attempt to marginalize Superman in his own series, elevating Superwoman as a centerpiece in what can only be described as an ideological re-engineering of the mythos. Yeah, he's really good. And he goes on, he says, let's start with the premise. Superman faces the return of Doomsday, the monstrous force that once represented the ultimate challenge to his might and moral resolve. And yet, this existential confrontation, an opportunity to remind us why Superman is the paragon of heroism, takes a back seat to Lois Lane's sudden acquisition of powers. Yeah, literally, since I didn't read the Absolute tie-ins myself, I guess this happens during that. And now Lois Lane is walking around with Superman's powers too, so she's Superwoman right now. But it's extremely dumb and really forced the way they do this. And there's a lot of issues that I had with it, which I say further on. She has these powers for just a couple of weeks, and she's just as good as Superman in that amount of time. It took Superman a while to really become Superman. He didn't exactly just become Superman immediately. He had all this development, he had all these things that happened. Sure, the comic uses a shortcut where it's oh, Superman trains Lois in his ways or whatever, but in 2 weeks, I don't know, it's a little hard to believe. And so he goes on, he says, what does he say? The narrative choice here is striking, not because Lois wields power, a trope that we've seen before, but because the story appears desperate to redirect the audience's admiration from Superman to Superwoman. It does do that. The comic does do that. Consider the implications. Superman, the archetypal symbol of masculine virtue, strength, responsibility, and self-sacrifice, stands diminished as his role is reframed in secondary terms. Lois, imbued with temporary superpowers, is thrust into the foreground, leaving Superman as little more than a passive observer in his own title. Yeah, he really was like a second banana. This is not a story about partnership or balance. It is a story that seeks to eclipse the hero whose name graces the cover. The introduction of the Time Trapper as a lurking antagonist offers little to mitigate these concerns. And yet, in this, the Time Trapper is Doomsday evolved over the centuries and centuries of being immortal. Now Time Trapper is this like evolved form of Doomsday that's intelligent, he can speak, and he's trying to become a god of time or something. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like, this completely lost me now at this part of the story. Instead of grounding the story in the timeless moral struggles that make Superman compelling, the narrative meanders through convoluted time travel elements and half-baked power dynamics. The result is a confused and unsatisfying arc that feels less like a celebration of Superman's legacy and more like a deliberate deconstruction of his character. It's worth noting that this isn't merely a question of storytelling preference, but a reflection of broader cultural currents, absolutely. Superman's greatest strength has always been his clarity of purpose, his ability to serve as an aspirational figure who shoulders immense responsibility with humility. To dilute that by reducing him to a supporting character is not just a disservice to the character, but to the audience who seeks inspiration from him. Superman does not need to be overshadowed, emasculated, or sidelined to accommodate other characters. He thrives as a hero precisely because he embodies universal values that transcend fleeting cultural trends. Yet this issue seems intent on subsuming those values into a framework that prioritizes subversion over substance. In conclusion, Superman number 19 is a frustratingly misguided installment that fails to understand, or worse, actively undermines, what makes Superman resonate across generations. Instead of offering a narrative worthy of the last son of Krypton, it delivers a shallow spectacle of misplaced priorities. Superman deserves better, and so do his readers. And you know, like, this whole thing where he's put off like a side character, I think it's only forgivable if the story is presenting itself as like a Silver Age or like a goofy take. But this story is presenting itself as a serious... It's adding to the lore of Superman's mythos of his stories. And it's just a joke, quite frankly. And Lois, it doesn't fit right. The writing style and everything. And it's just extremely goofy. And when I first saw the cover of this issue, when I first started this series, I was just looking through like some of the covers and stuff that I like the covers. And I saw like Superman next to Superwoman, and for some reason my brain didn't put one and two together that was Lois Lane flying right next to Clark. I just thought, oh, who's Superwoman? That's cool. There's someone who's like him, and maybe he bangs her or something, and he cheats on Lois. No, I'm kidding. I know Superman would not cheat on Lois, but I know Superman, like in some of the older comics, he had a relationship with Wonder Woman at some point, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched if there's like some other timeline or another story where Superman falls in love with a woman who's like him, like a Superwoman. But no, it wasn't a completely new character like I thought it was. It was Lois Lane as Superwoman. And it just doesn't work in this. It doesn't work. And for me, it wasn't even just because of the feminism or like what RKS was talking about. Like, yeah, that's annoying too. But it just didn't work for me. It was boring, it was predictable, and there was no stakes involved. And it was just kind of like, oh, look, she could do it in 2 weeks. I mean, it just was unbelievable. It didn't make any sense at all. Alright, so for number 20, I wrote, issue number 20, I also gave that a 1. This series really took a step backwards. Doomsday was a joke in this issue, and I didn't take anything that happened seriously at all. The only thing that was serious was when Rudy died. Rudy was Parasite. He gets killed by Doomsday. He gets ripped in half by him. That was cool, but not enough to save this comic. I mean, this is Doomsday, and they subdue him all in one issue. What was all that build-up from Doomsday Special for? Yeah, like Superman gets killed by Doomsday like in the 90s from the death of Superman. He gets destroyed by Doomsday. And in this issue, I'm supposed to believe that with him and now Lois Lane as Superwoman, they were able to defeat Doomsday in one comic without really getting hurt. They didn't even really get hurt. The worst thing that happened was Parasite got ripped in half. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I mean, and why it's crazy too is because this isn't the same Doomsday from the 1990s run. This is Doomsday that's been like bottled up, and he's actually stronger than the Doomsday from the 1990s. Like, he's back and he's worse. Like, because Doomsday doesn't die. He just, after they defeat him, they hide him in this at least. But while he's, whether he was in hell, locked up in hell in the previous special, or they figure other ways to trap him to kind of, Doomsday is the proverbial kicking down the can villain, and I think he is Doomsday in Superman's world. Doomsday eventually, someday, whether even if it's all the way like 30,000 years in the future, where there's like the Legion of superheroes, Doomsday will be the end of all life somehow. So each time that Doomsday pops his head back up into the story, it's a worse iteration. So I'm supposed to believe that Superman and Lois together were able to defeat this in one issue? Ridiculous. And Superman had a hard time originally and died to kill Doomsday. So that's a complete, like, that breaks my belief. What do they call it? The disbelief or whatever that broke my immersion. That's the best I could say. It was just unbelievable. And I added another RKS thing. I won't read the whole thing, but he had some good points about it too. But I don't want to go over number 20 too much. And number 21, I gave it a 1 again. Like, I'm telling you, these issues were really bad. They're really bad. And everybody seems to make a big deal about Dan Mora's art over the past few years and now. I don't like his art that much. It doesn't fit Superman. I don't think it's that great. It's like an anime-ish manga style, but not a good one. Like, not one that I'm falling in line with. Not like I said, like how the Captain Marvel should have anime in it, like a manga style. I think it would work better with that. But I believe that Superman should kind of retain an American classic drawing style to Superman. I really do. I mean, yeah, once in a while you can do it, I guess, with the anime style. But I think Superman should really stick with a classical art style that makes you think of Americana, makes you think back of the old days. I really think so. I don't think he should be looking this modern. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. I mean, the artists who did the first, I believe the first 10 issues of this series, Jamal Campbell, I think his name is, that was great. Like, I love that art. I don't know why they couldn't keep him on. But the art on that was fantastic. And then not only the line work was so good, the color, the use of space, everything was so good. I don't like this anime style. And I talk a lot about another artist that I like that shows up a lot. Eddie Barrows is a great artist. Nobody mentions Eddie Barrows. I guess they don't like his... it's not that he's a realistic drawer, but I feel like he's more of a classical penciler. Like, not exactly like a John Byrne type, but along the lines like a 1980s comic art penciler. That I like that about Barrows. Mora, it just doesn't do it for me. So I wrote for issue number 21, I'm not feeling this at all so far. The writing style has lost any sense of seriousness or foreboding. The art style sucks compared to how the run started. Frankly, all of the characters are now just annoying and add nothing to the story except that they're there. What happened? I was expecting better, especially after the epic House of Brainiac event. This Doomsday and now the Aftermath people really... Yeah, so, like, what happens in this issue also, these ships come over Metropolis, and I mean, I guess you had to read some of the older stuff. I wasn't too familiar with who these people were, but these people called the Aftermath show up, and they threaten the world. They threaten Superman. They want Doomsday back. Doomsday apparently was the reason why most of their race was extinct, and now the Aftermath wants to take him for their own purposes. And it sounds good at first because they say, like, oh, well, Superman, you'll never have to worry about it again. And Superman doesn't trust them. He thinks they're going to use him for whatever But they never even tell you what they're going to use it for, what they're going to use Doomsday for. Well, it turns out the Aftermath is this character called the Radiant. And the Radiant, he wants to destroy Doomsday. Superman goes out of his way to not want to destroy Doomsday. I might be going ahead of it. I think this is the next crappy issue. And Doomsday and Superman end up teaming up together to fight off the Radiant and the Aftermath. Because Superman doesn't want Doomsday to die, I guess. Because if he dies, then he'll come back stronger. But it just was... there was that drawing, there was this panel where Superman and Doomsday team up. And obviously the writer wanted you to be like, whoa, look! Superman and Doomsday fighting together. But it just didn't do anything for me. It came off kind of corny. And even just thinking about it, I'm like, it doesn't even sound that good. You know, like, Doomsday doesn't really... I mean, his logic is just destroy, and he's just a machine. Like, I know he's not a robot. I don't mean that. He's just a killing machine. There's not much thought to him, you know. He's not the evolved time trapper character. He's still a beast. So, whatever. I wrote down for a number. Let's see what I mean. I go back to RKS a lot, because I mean he really talks about a lot here. You know, I'll read what RKS said about number 21. Superman number 21 continues the baffling trend of sidelining Superman in favor of propping up Lois Lane as a superhero, a narrative choice that not only feels forced. But alright, so he says the same thing pretty much. The synopsis teases an epic date night between Clark and Lois, a much needed moment of respite after the chaos of Doomsday's attack. But instead of giving us a meaningful exploration of their relationship, the story shoehorns Lois into the action as Superwoman yet again. This misguided attempt to transform her from the intrepid reporter who challenges Clark with her wit and courage into a superpowered peer feels unnecessary at best and distracting at worst. The magic of Superman and Lois Lane has always been their complementarity. Lois grounds Superman, reminding him of the humanity he fights to protect. Meanwhile, Superman inspires Lois to see beyond the limits of human frailty. By turning Lois into a second-rate superhero, the story erases that dynamic and reduces her to a participant in generic action scenes. Instead of being the woman who challenges Superman emotionally and intellectually, Lois becomes a character who needs to throw punches to be relevant. The alien invasion, a massive armada seeking revenge on Superman, should be a grand dramatic affair, but the focus remains scattered, bouncing between Clark, Lois, and the alien threat, without giving any one element the attention it deserves. Disjointed and all. Right. I agree with him. Superman number 22. I wrote a little more about number 22. Still gave it a 1 though. I said, for issue number 22. Okay, sorry, not sorry. But this issue is just silly. Feels like the writer ran out of ideas and is just coming up with the most ridiculous concepts to really wow you. I mean, the Aftermath turns out to be... Alright, so yeah, I did go ahead of myself. This is when the Radiant Man strikes out and they try to kill Doomsday. There's absolutely no room for any mystery to develop, and it feels extremely rushed, this storyline. Honestly, Lois only being Superwoman for a few weeks, and commanding her powers equally to Superman with the exception of using heat vision, according to issue 19, is really dumb. Like, it's enough that we have the Super Family, which is also... Yeah, like, also the Super Family in this series is so redundant. There's too many people. It's too much. It's like what Shazam did a little bit in the movies and the Jeff Johns comic from 2011 or 2012, I think. You know, like that he's got 7 brothers and sister orphans. It's okay. It's corny. It's overdone. I think it's kind of jumping the shark a little bit. So same thing here. I think the Super Family jumps the shark just a little bit too much. I'm not saying I hate them. I like them, but it dilutes Superman, it dilutes the whole story, and it feels like nothing really matters too much. Just too many people with equal powers. I mean, the only thing that separates them is different personalities, but the way that they've been written in this series, the personalities don't stand out too well. Everybody kind of mixes in a little bit, and it's really like Ortho and Orsal, they stood out a little bit more at the end of the Philip Kennedy Johnson run before that shitty annual. They were the twin sister at least was standing out a little more, but that lost traction real quick. So I wrote here, like, it's enough that we have the super family, but Lois just feels off to me. This would have worked a little better if Superwoman was another character altogether, but making her a Superwoman makes this story hard to go with. And by the way, what happened to the super family? Like, we still see Kara, but where are the super twins and the others? Not that I'm complaining, but it feels like a lot of missing pieces here. Ending the comic off with Superman and Doomsday teaming up was the dumbest thing I've probably ever seen. And I liked another review that RKS wrote. He's still going on about the Lois Lane thing, so I won't go over it again. Superman issue number 23. The stakes went up a bit when Jimmy almost got killed, and I like how it rattled Lois. I gave this issue a 3 out of 10 though. It's still not a good issue, okay? Jimmy almost gets killed because of, I don't even remember who killed him almost, but he almost dies. Lois feels extremely horrible about it because she didn't save him on time, and she blames herself, if I remember, because here's the crazy part that actually makes Lois look more like an unthinking asshole in this series. So since she's the editor now at the Daily Planet, she's telling Jimmy to go get those pictures of Superwoman. We got to get pictures of Superwoman. But then when she's Superwoman, she has Mercy over at Supercorp. I don't remember how. I don't know if she's using like a drone or something. But every time Jimmy is about to get a picture of Lois Lane as Superwoman when she's doing her stuff, the devices shut down Jimmy's his camera. So she's sending Jimmy on a wild goose chase to get pictures of herself, while at the same time sabotaging every moment he gets to take a picture of her. Not even Superman does that to Jimmy. What makes Superwoman so special that she... I mean, and that seems almost sadistic to do that to Jimmy. Like, what's the big deal? Is it because you don't wear glasses as editor-in-chief at the Daily Planet? I don't understand. So, like, she gets special treatment throughout as Superwoman more than even Superman. Superman doesn't even do that to Jimmy. That's ridiculous. So she makes him do all that, and then he almost gets killed for it. And you know what's even more sickening? He ends up in the hospital, right? And she doesn't even visit him. She doesn't even visit him at the hospital. Like, yeah, she feels guilty about it, but she doesn't even visit at all. Like, she doesn't even go to the window as Superwoman and look through the window to see how Jimmy's doing. Doesn't check up on him at all. No, we're just shown that she feels bad about it. She feels awful about it. She blames herself for it. Fine. But I mean, she could see him as Lois. At the very least, she could do that. But she couldn't even be bothered to do that. I mean, how does that make you like Lois Lane as Superwoman? So, I go on to say, but the reason why I gave issue number 23 a 3 instead of a 1 was because my interest peaked when it revealed General Zod returning. This should get interesting because honestly Doomsday was overhyped in my opinion, so maybe Zod will ground this story back, but it doesn't. Zod doesn't show up, and the reason why they show Zod is because apparently Superwoman got her powers from Zod, and Zod doesn't have his powers anymore, and he's looking for where they went. I don't know. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. So, then I wrote a review for Superwoman Special number 1. I forced myself to read this just so I wouldn't lose too many details in the story, but I didn't miss anything really. It wasted my time. I said, the art looks like it was made by some soulless corporation making very neutral advertisements that appeal to the largest general audience that they could find. The only interesting piece of information we get out of this special is how Lois, through the Amazo suit or whatever, she ended up she stole the powers from General Zod. Whatever, man, whatever. Look what this guy said about Superwoman Special Number 1. This is an RKS. This is a guy called Frank Zanka. He's got his own thing too. He wrote here, he said, this was a complete waste of time. This book reiterates that there are far too many members of the super family. Do we really need 2 Superwomen? Had I even forgotten the stupid idea of Lana Lang having powers? We learn absolutely nothing new here, outside of the last page. The idea that the suit gave Lois Lane her powers is completely ludicrous. The entire idea behind absolute power was so bad, I didn't even read it. The reveal could have been just 2 pages in Superman and done. $6.99 for this is a complete cash grab. I'm glad Williamson got paid for something this bad. Exactly, man. Exactly. Alright, so let me go to issue... So issue number 24 made a comeback. I gave issue number 24 a 10. I said, okay, so this issue was a huge improvement for me. Oh, I wonder why. Eddie Barrows is back, and with a vengeance. The art in this issue is phenomenal. Yes, this art saves the series for me. And frankly, glad the Doomsday stuff is over. Still not a fan of Superwoman, but at least Barrows draws her well. There are some really good twists here, and I feel like we are back to Joshua Williams' best vision of where he wanted to go with this story. The best twist is how it turns out Mercy has been working a betrayal, and in the process has created a new super Lex Luthor. The real Lex Luthor was sent back to jail by Superman. Yes, Superman rats out Lex Luthor because he's afraid that his mind is coming back. That's kind of fucked up. Because Superman was worried the old Lex was coming back, but he didn't see the real issue growing, who was Mercy, behind the scenes. We learn this when Superwoman goes on a mission with the current Justice League and finds that the Coons, which is an alien race, an evil alien race, whatever, they have weapons that they bought from the Super Corps. There's some beautiful artwork throughout, and hope Barrows stays on. Yeah, so issue number 24 was really good. Even though Superwoman is still in it, she wasn't really that important in it. Number 25, I wrote down Barrows Strikes Again. 10 out of 10. Well, until they give more of the last few pages for the XL fight. And obviously the Super Lex Luthor is named XL, which is Lex backwards. Ha 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 ha. Very cute. Original. Whatever. So yeah, like most of this issue was drawn by Eddie Barrows. But then the last few pages where Superman is fighting Lex Luthor's clone, XL, it's drawn by Mora, which it was alright. But that wasn't a good reason for me to deduct any points, because that's like 5% of the issue. This was great stuff, and delivered another great twist. Accidental or planned is for you to decide. But after XL gets lamely girl-bossed by Superwoman for threatening her family, the best part happens with the real Lex Luthor. Yeah, like it's like the Fantastic Four movie. They defeat Galactus with Sue and the Silver Surfer woman. You know, girl power, blah blah blah, all that bullshit. Well, it's the same thing here. The XL, he doesn't get defeated. There's a part where like he's talking shit to Lois as Superwoman. Is I'm gonna go after your family. I'm gonna go after your son and blah 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 blah. And she goes like all like and she fucking screams at him and like she blows him up or something. I don't know. And she doesn't kill him, but she damages him pretty good and leaves him vulnerable. It's like, oh wow, girl power, wow, like Superman didn't do shit. But the best part is when XL was weak and on the ground, he was yelling at the real Lex Luthor for being a weakling. And like a badass, the real Lex Luthor blows XL's head off and ends it all right there. Superman, of course, freaks out about him killing him. and so does everyone else except Mercy. Mercy says to herself, "Welcome back, Lex Luthor." Lex and Mercy really stole the show last issue and this issue. Good job. Yeah, like, literally for me, honestly, the best part about this series was Lex Luthor and Mercy. Superman gets old fast. I mean, it gets kind of annoying after a while, like every time they're supposed to come down to a major decision. I know he's not supposed to kill. I know that. I understand all that. Don't harass me about it. No, I'm kidding. But it's like, it gets a little annoying sometimes. Like every time something big is about to happen and the decision where something could change like that, he acts like a little bitch. Okay? It's not even written well the way he acts. Like, I feel like if Superman is to come up with a conclusion, he could act more like a man. But every time, like when Lex killed XL, like he acts like a little bitch about it. Like, ooh, like, dude, Lex acts like a man. I know he's the villain, but he's like, but when XL was on the ground like that, and he's like fucking, boom, fucking blows his head off, and he's like, just, that's it. He had to go. What else was I gonna do? He's gonna kill this one. He's gonna kill that one. He's gonna kill everybody. And also, it was because XL is made by the same stuff that Lex Luthor created Bizarro with. So he goes even more loopy. So he's extremely dangerous. So Lex Luthor takes care of business. Good for Lex Luthor. But those couple issues that redeem themselves, it slowly goes back down on issue number 26. Issue number 26, I said this was okay. The best part of it, I guess, was how Lena responded to Mercy's betrayal and had some good emotional moments with her. But this wasn't a great issue. I mean, yeah, like, Superman goes crazy because of the red kryptonite all the way back when Graft and Dr. Farm were fucking with him. Boring, man. This was so boring, this one. The only thing that was interesting was how Lena was, like, really feeling like she was betrayed by Mercy and Lex, and you know, I think Barrow still drew this one. Yeah, Eddie Barrow still drew this one. So like his drawings of Lena and everything were really good. I was happy with that. But man, dude, Williams was really slacking, and people are liking this current few new issues, which is fine. But I just don't see it. All right, Superman number 27. I gave a 5 out of 10. This was okay, end to the mediocre arc. The highlight has been Lex. Honestly, I'm more interested in what Joshua Williams has planned for Lex Luthor. Otherwise, I'm not that excited for the coming Legion, and it feels like I'm having a hard time caring about most of the characters now. Hopefully next issue will regain some focus on Superman and bring some kind of meaningful stakes. If not, then it's most likely Luthor will be taking the spotlight again. Other good thing is the Superwoman is done, and that was cringe. Yeah, so Lois Lane is now Lois Lane again. She's back to normal. No more Superwoman garbage. Thank the gods. Superman number 28. I gave it a 6.5. I said, this was okay. Not the perfection everyone on here seems to be beefing it up to be. I'm probably the only one not impressed with Dan Mora's art. The story is much improved, and it did bring focus back to Superman at least. The Darkseid Legion seems good, but I don't know, it's not really drawing me in. It just feels like a predictable Dragon Ball Z episode in the making, honestly. And lastly, well actually not lastly, there's a couple of more things that I'll go over here real quick. So I wrote here, I said, so I guess Superboy Prime is, this is for issue number 29 sucked. I gave it a 3 out of 10. I said, so I guess Superboy Prime is Super Deadpool. And secondly, these latest issues really feel like Dragon Ball Z episodes. Yeah, I keep saying it because it does. I've seen better build-up with Darkseid than this. I can go back to even John Byrne's Man of Steel, and how he handled similar stories much more interesting than this. Well, it wasn't Man of Steel, I'm sorry. I think it was The Adventures of Superman, I'm pretty sure, where Superman, he gets like trapped in the apocalypse, and he loses his memory of who he is, and he slowly figures out what's going on, and he's like living in the under the tyranny of Darkseid, and he sees how all the people of Apocalypse live. And I thought that was so cool how they did Darkseid in that issue, that little series. And Superman is making love to it's not Darkseid's daughter, I don't think so. I think it was like just one of Darkseid's servants, but it's a female character. I forgot her goddamn name, but she was banging Superman and stuff, and using him. And I think she was the reason why he lost his memory because of something else. He fell into something. But anyway, Darkseid in that and how they built that up, way better than this, man. This Legion that shows up is like an evil version of the Legion of superheroes, you know. It didn't do anything for me. It really didn't. And I think in issue number 29... Wait a minute. Did I even write that here? Oh, yes. I have more to say. I said, I get why people like this newest story arc. Good for you, but it feels kind of predictable for me. I liked most of this series, except for the Absolute Power tie-ins and the early 20s, which are horrible. I get that Joshua Williams is going for that Silver Age feel now, which I respect, especially in the beginning panels when Superboy Prime jokingly says to Superman, "Come on, Superman, get Silver Age with me." But even so, it feels like there's still no stakes. Yes, we find out that the future is Darkseid, and everything the good guys did was meaningless. But with all the multiversal, time-changing, yada yada, it's hard to take any of this seriously. Especially in these modern runs that seem to conclude things pretty fast. I like how they show the Legion mostly decimated in the future, but again, it doesn't feel like it means anything. I think what would have saved this issue for me is if in the beginning, when Cosmic Boy killed the Justice League in space by crushing them to death in the ship, and Clark's mother, she gets zapped to death, all of that, it should have happened really, because it doesn't actually happen. It's in his head from Imra, one of the girls from the Legion of Superheroes. Imra is like doing psychic tricks in his mind and trying to break Superman, and she's showing him all the deaths of the people he loves and cares for. I said, I think what would have saved this issue for me is if, in the beginning, when Cosmic Boy killed... Oh, I'm sorry, I read all that already. Let me start over. Like, this issue should have illustrated that this Legion is the final front of Darkseid's evil. Like these guys that are coming and they represent Darkseid, they're so bad. Imagine what Darkseid is going to be like when we get to Darkseid. Like the Legion is supposed to represent what they are now that they've been molded by Darkseid. So we should feel like, holy shit, if Darkseid changed the Legion of superheroes to be so perverted and evil, oh man, imagine how Darkseid is going to be when we see him now. But no, that's not how it is. And they should have killed everything Clark loves. Obviously he would fix this, but I would come up with a reason to prevent that fix. Like if everybody would die by the Legion, you know, obviously Superman would like go back in time and save them later on in the series, but like I would make it where Darkseid and them would make it impossible. They would prevent him from going back or saving the people he loved. They would keep stopping him from doing what he needs to do somehow. That's what I would have done. Instead, nothing real happens. It's all in Superman's head, and the worst we see is some iteration of the future Legion dead. Hopefully I soften up next issue and it gets better for me. Otherwise, I'm really more curious about Lex Luthor and what he's up to. And lastly, there's these specials that you read, which I was supposed to read in between, but I forgot them, and I ended up reading them after I got up to issue number 29. So there's the Summer of Superman special, which was complete ass, right? Complete ass. I didn't like it at all. I don't even remember saving it. I didn't even finish it. It was just so lame. But the good special was the Lex Luthor special. So the Superman Lex Luthor special number 1 Um, I wrote down for that, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I said, besides being a sucker for Eddie Barrow's artwork, Lex Luthor is the standout in this entire series for me. I went out of order on accident and should have read this after I finished The House of Brainiac, but no big deal. It just filled in a few tiny gaps about Luthor, some great panels here and there, and feels like solid classic 80s with more concise dialogue. I just don't understand why everyone is head over heels over Dan Mora's anime style for Superman. I don't see anyone make a peep for Eddie Barrows. Strange. So yeah, like in the Lex Luthor special, they even go back to his childhood a little bit. He was a genius then. His father was a drunken asshole. You know, it is cliche, but the art style made it really nice to deal with a little bit. And yeah, Lex Luthor gets it on with Mercy. I like that Lex Luthor is getting his whistle wet with Mercy. I think Lex Luthor and Mercy make a really good evil power couple. So I hope Joshua Williams does more with Lex and Mercy. I'd like to see that a lot. I honestly would like to see a Lex Luthor series, and I think Joshua Williams would make a good writer to do a Lex Luthor series, but I don't know, man. I feel like we could get somebody else to make a really, really cool Lex Luthor series than Mercy. Don't you guys think so? I mean, I think so too. I think Joshua Williams at this point is losing a bit of steam, and his stuff is just kind of getting like he's jumping the shark. I think he's jumping the shark. I think they need to end it soon. Maybe let him just finish this off a little bit, but I don't think they should let him make another story arc after this. You know, some writers deserve a long series, but I don't. I think Williams screwed up in the 20s. I think it's not completely his fault. I think the Absolute Power tie-ins fuck up the writers. Like these crossover events that happen in these main solo stories. I think it fucks up the writer's pacing and the writer's direction. And even if they go back to what they want to do, when they spent all that time trying to figure out how to tie it all into Absolute Power, I think it takes so much away. I think the comics, they need to stop these crossover events so heavily and just allow the solo series to just breathe. Be their own thing, please, especially because the Wonder Woman run was probably going to be horrible either way, but I was actually liking it up to issue number 11, and after the Absolute Power tie-ins, it was horrible. It was horrible, and it was probably going to be horrible anyway if that's what Tom King wanted to do. But it just I can't help but feel like the tie-ins fuck it up. I really feel that way. Well, anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this review, like and subscribe. I'm gonna take a break, and man, I'm a little tired today, but I got a lot of catching up to do. I got a lot more recordings to do because I did a lot more reviews on some comics. I did a lot of reading this week, and I got a lot more fun reading I'm looking forward to. You guys have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your life. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.